Before we jump into today's topic on mic technique and room setup, I've recently made some changes down here in my basement, so let's take a quick look at that. So here's my corner of the world where I do all my work here in St. Louis. I've got a setup in the basement. I've recently moved from a small room to a larger area just to open things up and give me a bit more room to move. I've got the bike set up for exercising in the wintertime and my drawing and painting station for when I'm bored and I need something to do. I'm no good, but I enjoy the heck out of it. Little stereo setup. And this is where the voiceover work takes place. It's a real similar setup to what I had previously in this basement, except now it's set up in a corner and I've hung these moving blankets up. As you can see, the tracks along the ceiling, and it's really easy to close this off and knock down any reflections that you typically get in a basement. Let me close this one. So there you go, and that's more than enough to knock down any of the reflections in the room. And I love the sound of this little area. It's perfectly dead, or I should say it's dead enough how I prefer it to sound, and that kind of leads to what I wanted to talk about today, and it's how you work your microphone, and it's the sound setup within your room. Probably what I should have said there was your acoustic sound, your room's acoustics, and not your sound setup, but you know what I'm talking about. You know, where mic technique is concerned, there are a bunch of different ways to address it, and last couple of months I've liked this mic technique, and it's this one right here. It's where I'm a good foot and a half away from the microphone and I'm just talking like this. Something about it that kind of frees me from addressing the mic tightly, and it kind of helps me get this regular conversation delivery that I'd prefer, like what we're talking right here. Your room acoustics have to be just right in order to use this mic technique, because if you're talking this far away from the microphone and say you've got this big open space behind you, I'm not sure if this lav mic is picking this up, but it's immediately obvious to my ear that I've got sound reflections coming from this back wall bouncing up at me from the back wall as I'm recording, and so it's coming back here and it's coming into this microphone. We don't want that. One way that I might combat that, if I find that I'm getting some reflections from behind me, is to get in front of the mic and work it more closely. But the point of this voiceover page episode is to work the mic far away, and that's what I like to do. So if your room acoustics are just right, you can employ this method, and this is it. This is the technique. Obviously, you have to turn your preamp up to the right level here. My little Avalon does that for me. I get a really nice clean sound. It's a very nice relaxed, it's a nice warm sound. There are times when you want to work a mic real close if you have a certain technique that you want to employ to maybe give it a little more intimacy, your reads or something, but I'm talking about a regular narration. If you got 60 pages of medical narration, it's a lot easier to be able to talk like this than it is to talk like this, and I don't know why. For me, it might be a psychological thing, but again, you have to make sure your room acoustics are just right or you'll get that slapback. So when you change locations from, say, one part of your house to another, or you move, or you're like me and you just like to change. You like change every couple of years because you get tired of where you are. Compare files from the setup where you know is really good into your new setup, and you tweak your acoustics until your new setup sounds just like your old setup acoustically. And then you can employ any mic technique you want, but like I said, this one's really comfortable for me. I like recording like this. I'm what? Foot and a half away from the microphone. The files sound fine. My customers consistently say, Brian, your stuff sounds awesome. And I'm sure they're not talking about my voice, but they're talking about acoustics and the quality of the audio file itself. It's Brian Kirchoff. Thanks for joining me today. We'll talk again real soon. We'll see you.